What if the stories we've been told about gods and creation aren't just myths, but echoes of an ancient truth we've forgotten? Thousands of years ago, the Sumerians spoke of beings who came from the sky, gods so powerful, their influence shaped entire civilizations. But what if these gods weren't from the heavens at all? What if they were the Anunnaki, an advanced civilization that predated everything we know? As Heraclitus once said, character is destiny. But what if our destiny was shaped not by us, but by those who walked among us long before recorded history? What if the answers we seek about our origins are hidden in the stories of ancient gods who walked among us, leaving behind their fingerprints in stone and forgotten ruins? The Anunnaki, gods of ancient Sumer, may hold the answers we've long forgotten. Tonight, we step into the world of the Anunnaki, where gods, aliens, and ancient knowledge collide. Prepare to question everything, because the story of the Anunnaki is just the beginning. So take a deep breath, feel the weight of time, and let your curiosity guide you. If you're ready to question the past and dive into stories that have been hidden away for centuries, like and subscribe, but only if you're truly ready for the journey ahead. To understand the Anunnaki mystery, we must first journey back to ancient Sumer, the land where human civilization supposedly began. Around 4500 BC, in the harsh desert region between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, something remarkable happened that changed the course of human history forever. Scattered tribes of simple farmers suddenly began building sophisticated cities, developing complex technologies, and creating organized societies with a speed that archaeologists still struggle to explain. The Sumerians emerged in southern Mesopotamia and accomplished things that seem almost impossible for their time period. They invented the world's first writing system, called cuneiform, by pressing wedge-shaped marks into soft clay tablets. They created the wheel, developed the first known legal codes, established the earliest schools, and built massive architectural structures that dominated their landscape for thousands of years. But here's what makes their rise so puzzling to modern historians. Archaeological evidence shows they went from simple agricultural communities to complex urban centers in what amounts to a historical instant. Cities like Uruk, Eridu, and Nippur appeared seemingly overnight, complete with impressive architecture, organized governments, sophisticated irrigation systems, and advanced technologies that wouldn't be seen again in other cultures for thousands of years. Think about this carefully. These weren't gradual developments that we can trace through clear evolutionary stages. Instead, advanced civilization appears suddenly in the archaeological record, as if someone had gifted the Sumerians with knowledge and organizational skills that transformed them from simple farmers into the world's first truly sophisticated society. The Sumerians themselves had a very specific explanation for this rapid transformation. According to their own detailed records, they didn't develop these innovations independently. Instead, they consistently credited their achievements to divine beings called the Anunnaki, entities who came down from the heavens to establish order on earth and teach humanity the foundations of civilization. Ancient Sumerian texts describe the Anunnaki as the ruling class of gods who governed both celestial and earthly affairs. These weren't distant, abstract deities but active participants in daily life who established cities, created laws, taught technologies, and directly managed human development. The tablets speak of Anunnaki kings who ruled from magnificent cities, Anunnaki councils that made decisions affecting human fate, and Anunnaki teachers who shared advanced knowledge with selected humans. What makes these accounts so intriguing is their matter-of-fact tone. The Sumerians wrote about the Anunnaki the same way modern historians write about ancient kings and governments. These texts describe political relationships, family dynamics, territorial disputes, and administrative decisions with the kind of specific detail typically found in historical records rather than mythological stories. The city of Eridu holds special significance in these accounts. Sumerian texts describe it as the first city ever built on Earth, established by the Anunnaki as their initial base of operations. Archaeological excavations of Eridu have revealed layer upon layer of increasingly sophisticated construction, with the earliest levels showing remarkably advanced architectural techniques that seem to appear without clear developmental precedents. According to ancient records, the Anunnaki divided Sumer into distinct regions, each governed by different members of their pantheon. The tablets describe how these divine administrators established irrigation systems, organized agricultural production, and managed human populations like sophisticated governmental bureaucrats rather than mythological deities. But the Sumerian accounts go even deeper, describing the Anunnaki's motivations and long-term plans for human civilization. These texts speak of cosmic struggles, territorial disputes among the gods, and competing visions for humanity's future that played out over thousands of years. The level of political complexity described in these accounts rivals modern governmental systems in its sophistication and detail. Archaeological evidence continues to support many specific claims found in these ancient texts. Excavations consistently uncover cities, structures, and artifacts exactly where Sumerian tablets said they would be located. The technological achievements attributed to Anunnaki teaching appear in the archaeological record precisely when these accounts claim they were introduced. The sudden appearance of advanced knowledge in multiple fields, writing, mathematics, astronomy, engineering, metallurgy, agriculture, and governance, all happening simultaneously in the same geographical region, suggests coordinated teaching rather than independent discovery. Could random experimentation and observation really account for such comprehensive advancement happening so quickly across so many different areas of knowledge? Furthermore, the Sumerians demonstrated understanding of concepts that wouldn't be rediscovered by other cultures for thousands of years. Their mathematical system based on the number 60 provided sophisticated calculation methods still used in modern timekeeping and angular measurement. Their astronomical observations included detailed knowledge of planetary movements, lunar cycles, and stellar positions that required precision instruments they supposedly didn't possess. The irrigation systems they built transformed an arid desert into fertile agricultural land capable of supporting large urban populations. These weren't simple channels but complex networks requiring advanced understanding of hydraulics, engineering, and mathematical planning. Modern engineers studying these ancient systems continue to find evidence of sophisticated design principles and construction techniques. Could the Sumerians really have developed all these advanced capabilities independently in such a short time period? Or might their own explanations about receiving knowledge from the Anunnaki contain elements of historical truth that conventional archaeology hasn't fully recognized? What's your take on this rapid emergence of civilization? Do you think humans could naturally advance so quickly from simple farming to complex urban societies? Or does this transformation suggest external influence of some kind? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. According to thousands of cuneiform tablets discovered across ancient Mesopotamia, the Anunnaki weren't simply distant gods who occasionally performed miracles. Instead, these texts describe them as organized beings with specific hierarchies, individual personalities, and clearly defined roles in governing both celestial and earthly affairs. The detailed nature of these accounts reads more like historical records of actual administrators than mythological stories about imaginary deities. The ancient texts describe the Anunnaki as numbering in the hundreds, but focus primarily on 50 major figures who held the most important positions in their governmental structure. At the apex of this hierarchy stood Anu, the sky god whose name literally means heaven in ancient Sumerian. The tablets portray Anu as the supreme ruler who governed from a distant celestial realm, establishing laws and policies but delegating day-to-day management to his children and grandchildren. But Anu's offspring took a much more direct approach to managing earthly affairs. The two most prominent were Enlil and Enki, half-brothers whose contrasting philosophies and bitter rivalry supposedly shaped much of human history according to these ancient accounts. Understanding their relationship provides crucial insights into how the Sumerians viewed the forces that governed their world. Enlil, whose name means Lord of the Wind, was described as the god of atmosphere, storms, and divine authority. Ancient texts consistently portray him as powerful, decisive, and often impatient with human behavior. The tablets credit Enlil with establishing the fundamental structures that organized human civilization, kingship, cities, agricultural systems, and the concept of divine rule that justified political authority. But Enlil's relationship with humanity was complicated and often harsh. The texts describe him growing increasingly frustrated with human noise, rebellion, and failure to properly worship the Anunnaki. This frustration led to his most famous intervention, the decision to destroy most of human civilization with a catastrophic flood that would cleanse the earth and allow for a fresh start with more obedient populations. The flood narrative appears in multiple Mesopotamian sources, including the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Atrahasis epic, and numerous other tablets that describe this event in remarkable detail. According to these accounts, Enlil convinced the other Anunnaki that humanity had become too numerous, too noisy, and too rebellious to be allowed to continue existing in such large numbers. In dramatic contrast to his strict half-brother, Enki represented wisdom, creativity, and compassion toward humanity. The tablets describe him as humanity's greatest benefactor among the Anunnaki, the being most responsible for human advancement and survival. Enki's role in ancient texts consistently involves teaching, protecting, and enhancing human capabilities despite opposition from other Anunnaki who preferred to keep humans in more primitive states. According to Mesopotamian records, Enki taught humans the fundamental technologies that enabled civilization, agriculture, irrigation, mathematics, astronomy, medicine, metallurgy, and urban planning. But his most important intervention came when Enlil planned to destroy humanity with the Great Flood. The tablets describe Enki secretly warning selected humans about the coming catastrophe and providing them with knowledge needed to survive and rebuild civilization afterward. These accounts present Enki as caught between loyalty to his fellow Anunnaki and compassion for the human beings he had helped create and develop. Ancient texts describe him carefully avoiding direct disobedience to Anunnaki decisions while finding clever ways to preserve human knowledge and ensure civilizational continuity through catastrophic periods. But Enki's most controversial role, according to these ancient texts, involves human creation itself. Multiple Mesopotamian sources describe Enki as the primary architect of human beings, working with other Anunnaki to design and modify humans for specific purposes. These creation accounts include technical details that sound remarkably similar to modern genetic engineering concepts when translated into contemporary language. The tablets describe Enki working with his half-sister Ninmah, whose name means Great Lady, to develop human beings through what the texts call mixing divine essence with earthly clay. Ancient accounts speak of multiple prototypes, experimental modifications, and gradual refinements that enhanced human capabilities while ensuring humans remained suitable for their intended roles in Anunnaki society. Another crucial figure was Marduk, Enki's son, who supposedly rose to prominence during the Babylonian period through political maneuvering and cosmic conflicts that reshaped the entire Anunnaki power structure. Babylonian texts, particularly the Enuma Elish creation epic, describe Marduk's rise to supreme authority through battles with older Anunnaki forces and his establishment of Babylon as the new center of divine rule on earth. What makes these Anunnaki accounts so fascinating is how realistic and human-like these beings appear in ancient texts. They form political alliances, experience jealousy and ambition, make strategic mistakes, engage in romantic relationships, and participate in power struggles that would feel familiar in any modern government or corporate hierarchy. The tablets don't describe perfect, omniscient gods but rather advanced beings with superior knowledge who struggled with recognizable emotions, motivations, and limitations. They age slowly, live for thousands of years rather than eternally, and can be killed or overthrown by other Anunnaki through political or military means. Ancient texts describe the Anunnaki as possessing advanced technologies that enabled their rule over humanity. The tablets mention flying vehicles that could travel between earth and sky, weapons capable of destroying entire cities, communication devices that allowed instant contact across vast distances, and medical technologies that extended lifespans far beyond normal human limits. These technological descriptions often include specific details about materials, operational procedures, and capabilities that go far beyond vague mythological language. The consistency and precision of these technical accounts across thousands of tablets and multiple cultures suggest they might preserve memories of actual technologies rather than purely imaginary devices. But here's what makes the Anunnaki hierarchy particularly intriguing. The ancient texts describe their governmental structure, administrative procedures, and decision-making processes with the kind of bureaucratic detail typically found in historical records rather than religious mythology. These accounts speak of councils, voting procedures, territorial assignments, and administrative responsibilities that suggest complex organizational systems rather than simple divine rule. Could ancient peoples have created such detailed, consistent accounts of governmental structures involving purely imaginary beings? Or might these descriptions preserve memories of actual administrative systems that governed ancient civilizations in ways conventional history hasn't fully recognized? What do you think about these detailed descriptions of divine government and hierarchy? Do they sound like mythological stories to you, or more like historical records of actual political systems? Don't forget to like and subscribe because this is just the beginning of mysteries waiting to be uncovered. When archaeologists first began translating ancient Mesopotamian tablets, they discovered something that completely baffled them. These 4,000-year-old clay records contained astronomical knowledge so advanced and precise that it rivaled information only recently confirmed by modern telescopes and space exploration. The tablets credited this impossible knowledge to teachings from the Anunnaki, but how could ancient peoples possibly have known such detailed information about distant planets, complex orbital mechanics, and celestial phenomena invisible to the naked eye? The astronomical knowledge described in these ancient texts goes far beyond simple observation of obvious celestial objects. Mesopotamian tablets contain precise information about planetary rotations, orbital periods, relative sizes, and even the colors of distant planets. They describe moons orbiting planets that can't be seen without telescopes, mention asteroids and comets with specific orbital characteristics, and include mathematical calculations about celestial mechanics that require advanced understanding of physics and astronomy. Consider the planet Uranus, which wasn't officially discovered by modern astronomy until 1781 using powerful telescopes. Yet ancient Mesopotamian texts describe a distant planet in the outer solar system with characteristics that match Uranus remarkably closely. They mention its blue-green color, its unusual tilted rotation, and its position relative to other planets with accuracy that seems impossible for ancient observers using only their eyes. Even more puzzling, some tablets describe what appears to be Neptune, the outermost planet in our solar system that wasn't discovered until 1846 through complex mathematical calculations and telescopic observations. Ancient texts speak of a dark blue planet at the edge of the solar system with orbital characteristics that closely match Neptune's actual properties. How could ancient peoples possibly have known about a planet completely invisible to naked eye observation? The tablets also contain detailed information about Jupiter's moons, Saturn's rings, and Mars's surface features that weren't confirmed by modern science until spacecraft visited these planets in recent decades. Ancient texts describe Jupiter as having multiple smaller bodies orbiting around it, Saturn as being surrounded by a ring-like structure, and Mars as having reddish surface coloration with polar ice caps. But the astronomical knowledge in these tablets extends beyond our solar system. Ancient texts describe distant stars, stellar classifications, and even what appears to be information about other star systems with planets. Some tablets mention concepts that sound remarkably similar to modern understanding of galaxies, cosmic distances, and the structure of the universe itself. The precision of ancient astronomical records becomes even more impressive when tested against modern computer simulations. Researchers have used advanced software to model celestial mechanics for time periods described in ancient tablets, and the results consistently confirm the accuracy of astronomical predictions made thousands of years ago. Mesopotamian tablets contain lunar eclipse predictions, planetary conjunction forecasts, and comet orbital calculations that prove accurate when verified against modern astronomical data. The mathematical formulas used in these ancient calculations demonstrate understanding of trigonometry, spherical geometry, and computational methods that weren't supposedly developed until thousands of years later. Perhaps most remarkably, some tablets appear to describe astronomical phenomena that occur over vast time cycles spanning thousands or even millions of years. These accounts include information about precession of the equinoxes, long-term climate cycles, and cosmic events that require understanding of deep time concepts that ancient peoples weren't supposed to possess. The tablets consistently attribute this advanced astronomical knowledge to direct teaching from the Anunnaki. Ancient texts describe these beings showing humans how to observe the sky, providing them with instruments for measurement, and explaining celestial mechanics through detailed instruction. The accounts speak of Anunnaki astronomers who possessed knowledge spanning cosmic time scales and could predict future astronomical events with perfect accuracy. But here's what makes this astronomical knowledge even more mysterious. Ancient texts describe the Anunnaki as coming from a specific location in space, often identified with particular stars or stellar regions. Some tablets mention their home world orbiting a distant star, while others describe their origin as a planet with an extremely long orbital period that brings it close to Earth only once every few thousand years. While mainstream astronomers reject claims about unknown planets in our solar system, recent discoveries of distant objects in the outer reaches beyond Neptune have revealed that our solar system contains more celestial bodies than previously known. Could ancient astronomical knowledge reflect information about solar system objects that modern science is only beginning to discover? The consistency of astronomical information across thousands of tablets from different time periods suggests this knowledge was carefully preserved and transmitted through Sumerian culture. Ancient texts describe schools where selected humans learned astronomical secrets from Anunnaki teachers, creating a class of human astronomers who continue to study and preserve this knowledge for future generations. Archaeological excavations have uncovered ancient observatories, astronomical instruments, and calculation devices that support claims about advanced sky watching in ancient Mesopotamia. These discoveries show that Sumerians possessed tools and techniques for celestial observation that were more advanced than previously believed possible for their time period. But perhaps most intriguingly, recent analysis of ancient astronomical records has revealed information that modern science is only now beginning to understand. Some calculations found in ancient tablets describe cosmic phenomena and celestial mechanics that weren't officially recognized by astronomy until the 20th and 21st centuries. How did ancient peoples acquire such detailed, accurate information about astronomical subjects they couldn't possibly observe or calculate using available technology? Could careful naked-eye observation really account for knowledge about distant planets, complex orbital mechanics, and celestial phenomena requiring telescopes and mathematical methods that didn't exist for thousands of years? What's your opinion on this astronomical mystery? Do you think ancient peoples could have discovered such detailed information about the cosmos through observation alone? Or might they have learned from sources that possessed advanced knowledge about space and celestial mechanics? According to ancient Mesopotamian records, the Anunnaki didn't just rule over humanity from a distance. These tablets describe a systematic program of knowledge transfer where selected humans, called the Apkallis or wise sages, learned directly from Anunnaki teachers and then shared this advanced wisdom with broader human populations. The technologies and scientific knowledge supposedly transmitted through this program transformed primitive agricultural communities into advanced civilizations capable of achievements that modern engineers still find impressive. The ancient texts describe this knowledge transfer in remarkable detail, explaining how the Anunnaki established schools, selected gifted students, and carefully transmitted information about subjects ranging from practical agriculture to advanced mathematics and astronomy. These weren't casual interactions but structured educational programs designed to permanently elevate human capabilities while ensuring Anunnaki oversight of civilizational development. Let's examine the specific technologies that ancient texts credit to Anunnaki teaching, starting with metallurgy. Mesopotamian tablets describe how the Anunnaki taught humans to extract metals from ore, create alloys, and manufacture tools and weapons with properties far superior to simple stone implements. Archaeological evidence confirms that Sumerians possessed metallurgical knowledge that required understanding of chemistry, heat management, and material science principles. Recent analysis of ancient metal artifacts has revealed alloys and manufacturing techniques that shouldn't have been possible with primitive technology. Some objects contain metal combinations that require precise temperature control, specific atmospheric conditions, and chemical processes that demonstrate advanced understanding of material science. How did ancient metallurgists acquire such advanced knowledge without modern equipment or scientific methods? The tablets also describe agricultural innovations that transformed human food production. Ancient texts speak of Anunnaki teachers showing humans how to select seeds, irrigate fields, rotate crops, and maximize agricultural yields through techniques that modern farming still employs. But beyond basic agriculture, these accounts describe genetic modification of plants and animals that sounds remarkably similar to modern biotechnology concepts. Archaeological excavations have confirmed the sudden appearance of domesticated plants and animals with characteristics that suggest selective breeding and modification programs. The speed with which wild species were transformed into productive domestic varieties seems too rapid for natural selection alone, leading some researchers to question whether ancient peoples had access to genetic knowledge that conventional timelines don't account for. Engineering knowledge attributed to Anunnaki teaching appears throughout Mesopotamian archaeological sites. The tablets describe construction techniques, architectural principles, and engineering solutions that enabled ancient builders to create structures requiring advanced understanding of physics, mathematics, and material science. Modern analysis of ancient construction methods continues to reveal advanced techniques that challenge assumptions about primitive building capabilities. The massive ziggurats that dominated Sumerian cities weren't just impressive for their size but for their engineering sophistication. These stepped pyramids required understanding of load distribution, foundation engineering, and construction sequencing that rivals modern capabilities. Archaeological studies have revealed evidence of advanced planning, including drainage systems, weight distribution techniques, and construction methods that demonstrate remarkable knowledge of structural engineering principles. Perhaps most intriguingly, ancient texts describe manufacturing processes and industrial techniques that sound remarkably similar to modern production methods. The tablets speak of workshops where Anunnaki supervisors directed human workers in creating objects requiring precision manufacturing, quality control, and standardized production techniques. Archaeological evidence of ancient workshops shows evidence of mass production, standardized measurements, and manufacturing precision that suggests industrial-level organization. Medical knowledge described in ancient texts also demonstrates advancement that seems impossible for its time period. Mesopotamian tablets contain detailed anatomical information, surgical procedures, and pharmaceutical knowledge that wouldn't be rediscovered until modern times. The texts describe operations, medical treatments, and understanding of bodily functions with precision that required advanced knowledge of anatomy, physiology, and medical science. Archaeological excavations have uncovered ancient medical instruments, pharmaceutical preparations, and evidence of surgical procedures that support claims about advanced medical knowledge. Analysis of ancient remains shows evidence of successful surgeries, dental work, and medical treatments that demonstrate capabilities far beyond what most people associate with ancient medicine. The tablets describe mathematical knowledge that enabled all these technological achievements. Ancient texts speak of Anunnaki teachers sharing computational methods, geometric principles, and mathematical concepts that provided the foundation for engineering, astronomy, and scientific advancement. The mathematical system they supposedly taught, based on the number 60, provided advanced calculation methods that modern mathematics still employs. This sexagesimal system wasn't just an arbitrary choice but a brilliant mathematical framework that simplifies complex calculations involving fractions, geometry, and astronomical measurements. The precision and usefulness of this mathematical approach suggests careful design rather than accidental discovery, raising questions about its origins and development. But here's what makes these knowledge transfer accounts particularly compelling. The ancient texts describe not just what was taught but how it was taught. They speak of Anunnaki teachers using physical demonstrations, providing written instructions, and establishing educational institutions that preserved and transmitted knowledge across generations. Archaeological evidence supports many of these educational claims. Excavations have uncovered ancient schools, libraries, and training facilities where human students learned advanced subjects from teachers who possessed knowledge far beyond typical ancient capabilities. These educational institutions appear suddenly in the archaeological record, fully formed and advanced, without clear developmental precedents. The tablets also describe how this knowledge was deliberately limited and controlled. Ancient texts speak of Anunnaki concerns about sharing too much information too quickly, leading to careful regulation of what humans were allowed to learn and who was permitted to access advanced knowledge. This controlled dissemination explains why some technologies appear in ancient records while others remain absent until much later historical periods. Could ancient peoples have independently developed such comprehensive advanced knowledge across multiple scientific and technological fields simultaneously? Or might the ancient accounts of systematic teaching by advanced beings contain elements of historical truth that conventional archaeology hasn't fully investigated? Think about the speed and scope of technological advancement described in these ancient accounts. Modern technological development, even with all our scientific institutions and communication methods, typically requires decades or centuries to achieve major breakthroughs. How could ancient civilizations accomplish such comprehensive advancements so quickly without external guidance? What do you make of these detailed accounts of knowledge transfer? Do they sound like mythological explanations for natural human development, or more like historical records of actual educational programs? The ancient tablets don't describe the Anunnaki as abstract spiritual entities or invisible divine forces. Instead, these texts provide detailed physical descriptions of beings who looked remarkably similar to humans but possessed capabilities and technologies that seemed godlike to ancient observers. The consistency and specificity of these descriptions across thousands of tablets suggests the Sumerians were describing actual physical beings rather than purely symbolic or mythological figures. According to Mesopotamian records, the Anunnaki appeared essentially human in their basic physical structure but were notably taller, stronger, and longer-lived than ordinary people. Ancient texts consistently describe them as standing between 7 and 12 feet in height, with powerful builds, distinctive facial features, and skin that sometimes appeared to have an unusual luminous quality. The tablets provide surprisingly detailed information about Anunnaki clothing and accessories. These beings supposedly wore advanced garments made from materials that seemed almost magical to ancient observers. The texts described fabric that never wore out, clothing that provided protection from extreme temperatures, and accessories that enhanced their already impressive capabilities. Perhaps most intriguingly, ancient accounts describe advanced technologies that the Anunnaki used in their daily activities. The tablets speak of flying vehicles that could travel between earth and sky, weapons that could destroy cities from great distances, and communication devices that allowed instant contact across the world. While mainstream scholars interpret these as mythological metaphors, the technical language used in these descriptions is surprisingly specific and consistent. The flying vehicles described in ancient texts, often called divine boats or sky chambers, include details about their appearance, operational capabilities, and effects on surrounding environments. Ancient accounts describe these craft as creating powerful winds, producing bright lights, and making thunderous sounds during takeoff and landing. Some texts even include what appear to be technical specifications about size, capacity, and range capabilities. Archaeological sites across Mesopotamia contain mysterious landing areas, circular depressions, and geometric ground patterns that some researchers interpret as evidence of ancient aircraft operations. While mainstream archaeology explains these features as ceremonial or agricultural installations, their precise geometric shapes and unusual construction methods continue to puzzle investigators. The weapons attributed to the Anunnaki in ancient texts demonstrate knowledge of destructive capabilities that sound remarkably similar to modern military technologies. Tablets describe devices that could level mountains, weapons that produced intense heat and light, and destructive forces that could eliminate entire armies from great distances. These descriptions include technical details about effects, operational procedures, and strategic applications that go far beyond typical mythological weapon descriptions. Ancient texts also describe Anunnaki medical technologies that enabled their extended lifespans and enhanced physical capabilities. The tablets speak of treatments that could heal injuries instantly, devices that could regenerate damaged tissue, and procedures that could modify genetic characteristics. While these accounts might sound like science fiction, they're described with the same matter-of-fact tone used for other technological subjects in ancient texts. The communication technologies attributed to the Anunnaki enabled coordination across vast distances and instantaneous information transfer. Ancient accounts describe devices that allowed Anunnaki administrators to maintain contact with colleagues stationed in different regions, coordinate complex operations, and access information stored in distant locations. These communication capabilities supposedly enabled the complex governmental and administrative systems described in ancient texts. But perhaps most significantly, the tablets describe the Anunnaki as possessing knowledge about genetic modification and biological engineering. Ancient texts speak of their ability to create new life forms, modify existing species, and enhance biological capabilities through procedures that sound remarkably similar to modern genetic engineering techniques. These genetic capabilities supposedly enabled the Anunnaki to create human beings as a distinct species separate from earlier hominids. Ancient accounts describe multiple attempts to develop humans with specific characteristics, experimental modifications to enhance human capabilities, and ongoing adjustments to human genetics over thousands of years. The tablets also describe Anunnaki longevity as resulting from advanced medical technologies rather than inherent immortality. Ancient texts speak of treatments, devices, and procedures that extended lifespans to thousands of years while maintaining physical and mental capabilities far beyond normal human limits. These life extension technologies supposedly distinguished the Anunnaki from ordinary humans and enabled their long-term governance of human civilization. Archaeological evidence provides some support for claims about advanced ancient technologies. Excavations have uncovered objects, structures, and installations that demonstrate capabilities beyond what primitive tools and methods should have been able to achieve. Some artifacts show evidence of precision manufacturing, advanced materials, and construction techniques that suggest access to advanced technologies. Recent analysis using modern scientific instruments has revealed that some ancient objects contain materials and molecular structures that require advanced processing methods. While these findings don't prove the existence of the specific technologies described in ancient texts, they do suggest that ancient peoples had access to capabilities that conventional timelines don't fully account for. The consistency of technological descriptions across multiple cultures also supports claims about advanced ancient knowledge. Similar accounts of flying vehicles, advanced weapons, and advanced communication devices appear in ancient texts from Egypt, India, Mesoamerica, and other regions, suggesting these weren't isolated Mesopotamian inventions but reflected knowledge that influenced multiple civilizations. Modern reverse engineering attempts have tried to understand how ancient technologies might have functioned based on descriptions found in ancient texts. While these efforts remain speculative, some researchers have proposed that ancient accounts might preserve information about technologies that used principles not fully understood by modern science. Could the detailed technological descriptions in ancient texts preserve accurate information about advanced capabilities that existed in ancient times? Or are these simply imaginative stories that accidentally include details that seem to match modern technology? The physical descriptions of the Anunnaki themselves raise additional questions. If these beings were purely mythological, why do ancient texts consistently describe them with such realistic limitations and human-like characteristics? Wouldn't imaginary gods be portrayed as more perfect and supernatural than the complex, flawed beings described in ancient accounts? What do you think about these detailed descriptions of advanced technologies and physical beings? Do they sound like mythological stories to you, or might they preserve information about real technologies and actual beings who influenced ancient civilizations? Today, more than a century after archaeologists first began seriously studying Mesopotamian tablets, the Anunnaki mystery continues to divide researchers, challenge academic institutions, and spark passionate debates about the nature of human history itself. The accumulating evidence we've explored, archaeological discoveries, astronomical knowledge, technological achievements, and global cultural parallels, can be interpreted in radically different ways depending on your willingness to question established historical narratives. Mainstream academic interpretation remains firmly skeptical of any literal interpretation of Anunnaki accounts. Traditional scholars argue that these ancient texts represent advanced mythology created by intelligent peoples who used imaginative stories to explain natural phenomena, justify political authority, and provide spiritual meaning to their lives. According to this view, any correlations between ancient accounts and modern discoveries result from coincidence, human observational capabilities, or our tendency to find patterns where none actually exist. Leading archaeologists like Dr. Michael Heiser have written extensively about the dangers of misinterpreting ancient texts, arguing that modern readers often project contemporary concepts onto ancient languages and symbols that had entirely different meanings in their original contexts. They emphasize that translation difficulties, cultural differences, and gaps in our understanding make it easy to misinterpret ancient accounts in ways that support modern theories rather than reflect ancient intentions. Mainstream scholars also point out that humans have always been remarkably capable of impressive achievements through careful observation, experimentation, and accumulated knowledge passed down through generations. They argue that we consistently underestimate our ancestors' intelligence, creativity, and ability to solve complex problems using available resources and traditional methods. But alternative researchers present increasingly advanced challenges to conventional interpretations. Modern investigators like Graham Hancock, Michael Tellinger, and Brian Forster use advanced archaeological techniques, genetic analysis, and computer modeling to examine ancient evidence with precision that wasn't possible for earlier generations of scholars. These researchers point to specific anomalies that conventional explanations struggle to address adequately. They highlight technological achievements that seem impossible for their supposed time periods, astronomical knowledge that required instruments ancient peoples didn't possess, and architectural precision that demanded mathematical understanding supposedly unavailable to early civilizations. Perhaps more importantly, they question why these achievements appear suddenly in the archaeological record without clear developmental precedents. If ancient peoples developed these capabilities independently, where are the intermediate stages, the experimental failures, and the gradual improvement processes that typically characterize technological development? Recent discoveries continue to add complexity to this debate. The ongoing excavation of sites like Göbekli Tepe, Karahan Tepe, and similar ancient complexes reveals that advanced civilization existed thousands of years earlier than conventional timelines suggest. Each new discovery pushes back the timeline of human sophistication and raises questions about what other evidence might be waiting to be uncovered. Advanced dating techniques have also revealed that some ancient sites are older than previously believed, while others show evidence of reconstruction and renovation over thousands of years. This suggests that ancient knowledge was preserved, transmitted, and continuously developed across much longer time periods than conventional history recognizes. Modern genetic research adds another dimension to this ongoing debate. Analysis of ancient DNA reveals unexpected diversity, sudden population changes, and genetic variations that don't align perfectly with gradual evolutionary models. While these findings don't prove ancient genetic modification, they do suggest that human development might be more complex than traditional explanations indicate. Satellite archaeology and remote sensing technology continue to reveal previously unknown ancient sites across the Middle East, many of which match descriptions found in tablets that reference Anunnaki activities. Underground structures, buried cities, and hidden architectural features appear exactly where ancient texts claimed they would be located. The institutional resistance to investigating alternative theories also continues to shape this debate. Academic careers, research funding, and professional reputations still depend largely on adherence to established historical narratives. Researchers who seriously investigate unconventional possibilities often face professional marginalization, making it difficult to conduct thorough investigations of controversial evidence. This institutional pressure creates a challenging environment where legitimate questions about ancient history might be discouraged rather than thoroughly investigated. Could important evidence be overlooked simply because it doesn't fit comfortable theoretical frameworks that academic institutions prefer to maintain? However, changing attitudes within some research communities suggest that this resistance might be gradually weakening. Growing numbers of archaeologists acknowledge that conventional timelines and explanations might be incomplete, and some institutions have begun funding research into previously taboo subjects using rigorous scientific methods. The emergence of interdisciplinary research approaches has also contributed to this evolving debate. Teams combining archaeologists, geneticists, astronomers, and computer scientists can now examine ancient evidence from multiple perspectives simultaneously, revealing patterns and connections that single-discipline approaches might miss. The Internet age has democratized access to ancient texts, archaeological reports, and research findings that were previously available only to academic specialists. Independent researchers worldwide can now examine primary evidence and develop their own interpretations without relying solely on institutional authorities to filter and interpret information. This broader access to information has led to collaborative research efforts, alternative translation projects, and new theoretical frameworks that bypass traditional academic gatekeeping. While this democratization has produced some questionable claims and pseudoscientific theories, it has also enabled legitimate research that might not have occurred within conventional institutional constraints. Recent technological advances continue to provide new tools for investigating ancient mysteries. Artificial intelligence systems can analyze vast quantities of ancient texts to identify patterns, correlations, and translations that human researchers might miss. Advanced imaging techniques reveal hidden details in ancient artifacts and archaeological sites that weren't visible using earlier methods. Ground-penetrating radar, satellite archaeology, and 3D modeling technologies enable researchers to investigate ancient sites without destructive excavation, preserving evidence while revealing previously unknown features. These non-invasive investigation methods have uncovered underground structures, buried artifacts, and hidden architectural details that support various aspects of ancient accounts. But perhaps most significantly, the accumulation of anomalous evidence from multiple fields has reached a critical mass that makes it increasingly difficult to dismiss alternative interpretations entirely. While any single piece of evidence might be explained away, the collective pattern of archaeological discoveries, genetic anomalies, astronomical knowledge, and technological achievements suggests that something about conventional historical narratives remains incomplete. The debate over ancient astronaut theories, lost civilizations, and advanced ancient knowledge reflects broader questions about how knowledge is validated, who controls historical narratives, and what evidence standards should be applied to investigating claims that challenge established academic frameworks. Some researchers argue that the scientific method requires investigating all possibilities, even uncomfortable ones, using rigorous evidence standards rather than dismissing claims based on their implications for existing theories. Others contend that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence and that alternative theories haven't met the burden of proof necessary to overturn well-established historical understanding. This tension between open inquiry and maintaining scientific standards continues to complicate efforts to resolve ancient mysteries like the Anunnaki accounts. The challenge lies in distinguishing between legitimate evidence that deserves serious investigation and speculative claims that lack sufficient support. The Anunnaki debate ultimately reflects fundamental questions about the nature of human knowledge, the reliability of ancient sources, and the possibility that our understanding of history might be significantly incomplete. Whether these ancient accounts preserve memories of advanced beings, lost civilizations, or simply represent advanced mythology, they continue to challenge our assumptions about human capabilities and ancient knowledge. Modern artificial intelligence analysis of ancient languages has begun revealing new translations and interpretations of Mesopotamian texts that weren't possible using traditional linguistic methods. Some of these AI-assisted translations provide different perspectives on familiar passages and uncover previously unnoticed patterns in ancient accounts. After traveling through thousands of years of history, examining archaeological evidence, analyzing ancient texts, and exploring the heated debate surrounding these mysterious beings, we find ourselves confronting questions that extend far beyond simple historical curiosity. The Anunnaki accounts force us to examine fundamental assumptions about human development, ancient knowledge, and the completeness of conventional historical narratives. The evidence we've explored creates a fascinating paradox. On one hand, mainstream archaeological and historical methods have provided detailed understanding of ancient Mesopotamian civilization, its achievements, and its cultural development. Scholars have translated thousands of tablets, excavated numerous sites, and built comprehensive models of how these ancient societies functioned and evolved over time. Yet on the other hand, this same evidence reveals anomalies, inconsistencies, and capabilities that don't fit neatly into conventional explanations. Advanced astronomical knowledge that required instruments ancient peoples didn't possess. Technological achievements that appear suddenly without clear developmental precedents. Genetic anomalies in human development that correlate with time periods when ancient texts claim divine intervention occurred. The global nature of similar accounts across isolated cultures suggests that something significant influenced human development during ancient times, whether that was advanced human civilizations, external contact of some kind, or knowledge sources that conventional history hasn't fully recognized. The consistency of these accounts across vast geographical distances and different time periods indicates they might preserve memories of actual historical events rather than independently created mythology. But perhaps the most important realization from this investigation is that human history appears far more complex and mysterious than most educational systems acknowledge. Ancient peoples demonstrated knowledge, capabilities, and organizational sophistication that challenges comfortable assumptions about primitive civilizations and gradual technological development. Whether we interpret the Anunnaki as mythological symbols, ancient astronauts, representatives of lost human civilizations, or something else entirely, their accounts point to gaps in our understanding that deserve serious investigation rather than casual dismissal. Whether future discoveries will definitively solve the Anunnaki puzzle or reveal new layers of complexity remains to be seen. But the investigation itself serves important purposes by encouraging critical thinking, challenging established assumptions, and promoting more comprehensive approaches to understanding human history. The Anunnaki accounts ultimately remind us that human knowledge and capabilities might be far older and more advanced than conventional education suggests. They challenge us to remain open to possibilities that exceed the boundaries of established frameworks while maintaining rigorous standards for evaluating evidence and testing claims. What other secrets lie hidden beneath the sands, ready to upend everything we think we know? If exploring the deepest mysteries of ancient history excites you, make sure to subscribe, because this is just the beginning. From Atlantis to forgotten civilizations and countless unsolved enigmas, we're always uncovering the unknown. Click subscribe, turn on notifications, and join us as we journey further into the mysteries of our past. The deeper we delve, the clearer it becomes. Human history may be far more extraordinary and astonishing than we've ever imagined.